on this computer. Hi everyone, it's Lorraine here from Community Health Works and from the Cooking Good project. We're here as part of the Longley Circles of Support doing a winter warmers series. Today we are cooking a creamy pork and mushroom with rice. So I will put this in the link below so you can see it properly, this actual recipe, below the video and on our Facebook page. I think we should be posting these on our Facebook page as well. In case you want to watch this back, but this recording will be available for anybody who wants it. We've got Norfolk House, we've got some residents and some volunteers and one of the chefs there who are tuning in from Norfolk House, and we'll see if we get anyone else as we go along. And others, we were due to be in Banbury today, but there's been some illness going around, so Banbury has been postponed and we're cooking from home today. So creamy pork and mushroom with rice has in it, believe it or not, pork, and it has mushrooms and it has rice. So hopefully you like all those three things. But also on this recipe it's got some white cabbage you could have with it, to have some extra vegetables with it. Also, I have made some Swedish red cabbage, which we do have a recipe for on our website. And again, I'll put a link in with the video and the Facebook link to this. I'll put a link to that recipe. But that's a red cabbage because it's nearly Christmas, and red cabbage is Swedish, or what they call German red cabbage sometimes, is something we particularly eat here anyway, because my husband is Swedish and eat that on Christmas Eve, but in December. It's nice to make these Christmas foods. So to make our creamy pork and mushroom with rice, we need some pork. Here it mentions 400 grams of pork fillet. I've got a little bit more than that here. So I think if you have 2 or 3 steak, that would be enough. So I'm going to open this and I'm going to use scissors to cut it. I don't know if anyone else uses scissors to cut their pork. I find that easier. So I'm left-handed and not the best at cutting things that are difficult to cut. So I don't need any of the fat and I don't need the bone. So there's some bones in there you don't need. If you already want to buy the already pork that's already cut into strips, you can do that. This is just regular pork that you buy in the supermarket or from your butcher. And I'm going to cut it into strips. So it cooks quickly as well, so we don't have to use as much heat. I've got this on about a medium heat at the moment. And you can make this as a vegetarian dish if you want to. So this is actually cooking it with pork, so it's got the meat in it. But this would work well because mushrooms are quite a meaty vegetable, or you could add some sort of beans. Is anybody vegetarian there? Because we did have one vegetarian last week in Coventry, but maybe not in this group. But just be mindful, you can make these things with you can make it with tofu, and you can buy ready cooked tofu. And that is made with soya, which is made from the soya bean. And that's actually a really good way to not use meat. Well, the cost of meat is going up, isn't it? It's getting quite expensive to buy meat. So we are using a much easier. So are we coming to Norfolk House on this in this series? I'm not sure if we are coming to Norfolk House in this series, because you're always joining in, so it'd be nice if we could come and do some cooking with you, wouldn't it? So maybe the next series we can come to you and cook, and you can get to eat it, not just watch online, which would be great. But it's so nice to have you there as well. So I'm just making sure I've got as much of the lean meat as I can. And as I say, I'm using scissors. but you can use a knife if you could with knives. I'm using a little bit of oil in the pan just to cook this off. I've got 4 steaks here, but this will be something that I'm kind of batch cooking it really. This would feed, the main dish would feed 4 people, and that's with less meat than this. So this is probably feeding 6 people, but that means I've got food enough for 2 meals rather than just 1 meal. So I can either freeze it or I can put it in the fridge to save for another day.
I'm walking down the
Somebody asking a question there. I can hear someone, but I can't quite hear what's being said. So bear with me 1 second. I'm going to wash my hands and then I can turn up the volume on my computer. Right, give me 1 second. Right, I'm going to turn up the volume, see if that helps me hear you. Sorry, was there something anyone was saying then?
No, somebody's phone went off, and I think it may be because it was somebody asking a question.
Was somebody asking a question?
No, their phone went off.
Oh, right, no problem. That happens to me all the time. Okay, so in our ingredients, we've got our pork, which I'm cooking now in a little bit of olive oil, which I've just used. And I'm going to add some mushrooms and salt and pepper to this, but I just need to cook the pork first. So part of the ingredients here are half a juice of a lemon, 2 tablespoons of mustard. I mean, you could add extra mustard or less mustard depending on how strong you like the mustard. And you can have creme fraiche or sour cream. I've just got some creme fraiche here that I'm going to use in this dish. So it's like a stroganoff type of recipe, really, I'd say. And it's just really easy. So you're cooking off the pork like this, and hopefully with this thing that doesn't cook very fast, but okay, just put it on that one. I think that one's working better. We're going to get this heated up and ready to have. It's only a few minutes on a normal hob, but this one is slow, our demonstration one. So we're going to add the mushrooms to this, so I will just cut them for you now, and they're really easy. These are quite big mushrooms, so I might cut one way and then chop them, slice them into nice little slices. I'm going to leave them quite chunky so we can see that we're eating a mushroom. Yeah, and a mushroom is quite a meaty vegetable. So as I say, you could make this without the meat and just have mushrooms in it. Right. So we're chopping up our mushrooms, hoping that our pan with our feels hot. It feels hot and it looks like it's starting to cook. I don't know if you can see any steam coming off this now, but it's starting to cook. And to shut it up more for you. Right, so we've got that going away here. Cooking away in our pan. And we're going to add our mushrooms in a second. Is anyone asking me a question? I can hear some voices, but I don't know if you're asking me anything. I'm not too worried if not. So that's starting to sizzle now, finally. If you're working on gas or a regular electric oven, you'll probably cook a fair bit quicker than my hob here is. But it's a £1 dish, so you can make a smaller amount of it if you're cooking for one, which I know quite a lot of people do. You hear it sizzling now? There, yeah. I've got quite a lot of mushrooms. It says here 250 grams of mushrooms chopped into 2 centimetres square, but I'm keeping them sort of looking like mushrooms. I prefer them big and chunky, the mushrooms, but you can chop them a bit finer if you want to. So first of all, we're going to put the pork. You know, you could also add an onion to this to make it put some of the flavour in there. This recipe doesn't have the onion. And you know, pork is a relatively cheap meat. It does freeze very well. It's great in stir fries. And this is just a little bit different, a bit more of a warming dish, I'd say. It's a bit more like a stroganoff, we call it. And I've got my rice here, but I've got a packet rice, whole grain packet rice. This one's from Lidl. You can get them in Aldi as well. It's a bit of a cheap, so I'm not cooking rice from scratch with a pan, which I can do very easily. But I wanted to show you these because they are handy, especially if you're not cooking very often or you're cooking for one. And there's 250 grams of rice here. And that's what it says in the recipe to use. So if I just use as much as I need of this, and I can heat it in the microwave. So I'll just have it for 2 minutes in the microwave. Does it say 3 minutes, this one? 2 to 3 minutes in the microwave for this whole grain rice. So I can use a small amount of it and put it in the fridge. So I can just heat a small amount for myself, and anyone else who's eating with me, and I can put the rest in the fridge, and it will keep for a few days in the fridge. But they are handy for and not too expensive. It is cheaper to buy rice and cook it from scratch, but it's the convenience of these packets really that is the benefit. So this pork is nearly cooked. So because you're cutting it into strips, it's cooking very quickly. And pork has something in it that's really good for our mental health. It has something in it called tryptophan. And tryptophan is an important substance in triggering and in the helping with serotonin, and helping serotonin to be activated and work in our brains. And serotonin is one of the sort of happy kind of chemicals in our brains. So tryptophan, which is in chicken, pork, and other kinds of foods and vegetables, it's an important thing in our diet to help with our mental health, especially during the winter. So another thing I want to mention when we talk about the winter and winter well-being and winter warming food is, of course, we've got a really sunny day today, and I'm going to try and get out in the sun so that I can get some natural vitamin D, because it's really important that we get vitamin D. But of course, we've got to get it on our skin, and if we're going out in this -2 weather, which is beautiful but cold, we're going to be wrapped up and not exposing our skin, to the sun. So we're not going to get as much of our vitamin D. And it's recommended by the NHS and by nutritionists ourselves that people take additional vitamin D during the winter months, which you can buy from the supermarket, and just take a small dose if you are not taking any, like 25 IUs. That would be a minimum to take, and because we're just not getting the sunshine, which we are getting today, but through a window I'm not getting vitamin D, so we have to take it in our food. However, our lovely mushrooms that we've got here, I'm going to pop them in the pan, they actually do contain vitamin D. So we have they're one vegetable, including things like eggs, that actually do contain vitamin D, but we tend to not be able to eat enough of it to make it possible. I've got some that have a strange colour, so I'm going to take those out. That are a vegetable that we can't eat enough of it to get enough vitamin D. So we tend not to get enough vitamin D in the winter months, or if we don't go out very much. So I've just got a strange colour mushroom, which we decided that mushroom shouldn't be that colour, kind of red inside. So I'm taking the red ones out. Right. So that's our mushrooms cooking with our pork here. Just going to make sure they're all nice and soft in our pan. And then as we add our salt and pepper. Salt and pepper. So if everybody likes salt and pepper, you can have that. Into our pan. And there we go. Salt and pepper in there. And you can always add a bit of garlic if you like garlic, and that's a good something that's really good to help us boost our immune system during the winter. But the importance of vitamin D is definitely to support our immune system. And a lot of our immune system actually lives in our gut. And you've probably heard me say this before if you've been on these calls, but that's why we talk about having vitamin D and in our diets, because it's very important for our immune system. And as I say, garlic is another one that's good for our immune system. Right. So I think I've got the right amount of mushroom and the right coloured mushrooms in there. Wrong coloured mushrooms. And you don't want to overcook this colour. So then we add a little bit of water. I think I've got a little bit of water in that pan already, because it's come off the pork. And the creme fraiche and mustard, and simmer for a few minutes. It's basically ready. So we need some of our mustard here. This is a French mustard, but you can use any mustard that you like. How much creme fraiche? I've made this one for a while. 4 tablespoons. Just bear with me while I get a tablespoon. That's cooking away nicely. So we want 4 tablespoons of creme fraiche. I'm using big tablespoons there. Plus I've used 3 big ones. I'll call that 4. And then we're going to use a teaspoon for our mustard. I'll make them very big ones, so I like tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of mustard, and then we're just going to mix that all together in this pan. I mean, this one is so easy. You could add peas to this. You could add peas. You could add any other vegetable that you like. If you wanted to add it into this dish, that smells really good. You can use, as I say, creme fraiche, last week, or sour cream. You can use that. I think this dish needs quite a bit of pepper. I think it's very much a dish that needs more pepper. struggling to hear what's being said. I don't know if you want to put something in the chat, and then I'll have a look at what's written in the chat. If you've got any comments, I'll be able to read it in the chat if you've got any comments, because I'm struggling to hear you. Sorry, I don't know if it's your sound or mine. Okay, so I've made this now. I'm going to bring this to the camera so you can see it. That's our pork and mushroom. If it was smelly vision, you'd be able to smell it. But it is, and that's basically ready. What was that? Going on with the sound, I can't hear it at all. Juice of half a lemon as well. Sorry, I haven't put the lemon in, so I'm just going to put the lemon in this recipe. I'll add the rice, steam, add the pork. Oh, and add the lemon juice. Add the lemon juice. You can take the pork out and put the pork back in here, but I just do it all in one go. I don't think you need to back on with cooking mushrooms separately. I really don't think you do. If your pork's cooked, you don't need to do that. Okay, so I'm just adding the lemon juice now, and hopefully it doesn't split. Oh yeah, that's made it really tasty. Actually, smells nice. I mean, smells delicious. So that's actually, wow. Okay, so that's actually ready. Haven't made this one for a while, so it's an exciting dish for me to try. I'm sorry, I really can't hear what's being said there. So this is our rice here, but what I want to show you, I'm just going to bring over a bowl of it to show you, is the Swedish cabbage. It's cooking on my hob at the moment. And this is the Swedish cabbage. Okay, I've got a great big pan of it cooking away at the moment on the hob, and I wanted just to explain the Swedish cabbage to you, because this is a really nice dish to have with this one. So the Swedish cabbage, I'm going to heat up some of this rice. Not much, because I'm going to just have one portion for lunch. I'm just going to put that in the microwave. 1 second. 2 minutes. Whilst that's cooking, I'll explain to you the Swedish cabbage, which I'll leave the recipe for, because I didn't know if I'd have time to cook it today, and it needs to cook for quite a while. But basically, this is a red cabbage. So I've got one here. I'm sure you know a red cabbage, but just in case you don't, in the supermarket, one of these big things. It does boil down quite a lot, and this will freeze nicely. So red cabbage, apple, I use. I think some people do sometimes use onion. So I use that. I use some cloves, and you can use nutmeg and those kind of warm spices. As I say, I'll put the recipe in for you. You put a bit of oil or butter. I use butter in a pan, and put the lid on it, cook it on a low heat, add the apple towards the end, but cook it for a while so it goes really soft, the cabbage, and you add sugar as well, so you can use some brown sugar and some cider vinegar, and that is a really lovely, smells really Christmassy dish, and that is one that we use a lot at Christmas, as I say, and share it with the family, because it's nice to eat at this time of year. There's lots of vitamin C, which again is good for our immune system in our cabbage, and also we have a cat who wants to join in with our eating. He can get involved in the cooking, obviously, but he's very happy to get involved in eating food. So this is the patty. As you can see, he likes his food. So that's the red cabbage, which we can give you the recipe for later. I'm just going to go and get the rice, which is cooking away nicely. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah. Right, 2 minutes because it's so warm. But basically, that's our rice ready. That's our dish ready, and I'm going to use one of our good size plate this for an adult, especially if we're not doing loads of physical activity like, you know, walking for 20 miles a day or running or whatever, but have a more sedentary lifestyle. I'm going to put the rice on there, and I'm going to put some of this on here to show you this dish. Plate it up. And some of our red cabbage. Using a knife because I don't have their spoon. I'm using red cabbage here. So this is our dish. It's finished. This is our dish here. That was really quick, wasn't it, today? It was 35 minutes. That's our dish. That's our creamy pork and mushroom with rice and with red cabbage. As I say, I will add the recipe for the red cabbage to the links. So does anyone have any questions? Any questions about what we cooked today? Anything you're cooking over Christmas that you want to talk about? If not, I'll say goodbye, but I'll stay on the line. I'll just say goodbye for the recording. But thank you, everybody, and see you next week. We'll have to decide what you want to cook next week, but I'll talk with Norfolk House about that in a moment. But see you next week, hopefully. Maybe we'll make something a bit Christmassy. Bye for now. Actually, sorry, the next session is after Christmas, is starting on about the 8th of January. So scrap that, we won't see you next week, but we'll see you in January.